This is a chance to learn a little more about our upcoming roundtable sessions. Really excited to host you all in Seattle the second week in September. It should be a beautiful time in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. Nice time of the year. And we'll go over some of the logistical details, introduce ourselves, and talk about some suggested next steps and tips for your roundtables. And feel free throughout the session to submit questions through the attendee chat, and we will answer them along the way or at the end. We'll also be sharing out these slides and a recording of this presentation at the end. For some introductions, my name is Stuart Hariyama, and I work on the fourth team, putting on Roadmap, and my responsibility is developing the program for the conference. So really excited I've read, for everyone who submitted through the call for proposals, read your proposals, thought about sort of what were the topics that were most relevant for us at the conference. And from there, put together each of the sessions and have sort of, been through the whole process and looking forward to seeing it come to fruition in September. And I'll pass it over to my colleague, Melissa, to introduce herself.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Morgan, and I'm the Program and Event Coordinator with the event management team supporting Roadmap 2026. This will be my third year back, so I'm really excited to be attending in September. I'll be your primary point of contact for speaker logistics and session coordination. So thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We're excited to have you as part of this year's program. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Stuart.
Great. Many of you know us fourth best for the Roadmap Conference. Maybe others of you work with us on other programs. Just a little bit about us. We are a national nonprofit based in Portland, Oregon, on a mission to electrify transportation by bringing people together to create solutions that reduce pollution and barriers to access. We do this through a variety of programs and focus areas. But one of our marquee event is the Roadmap Conference. It's sort of how everything comes together, and we are able to bring all of our partners together and really make a lot of progress in this industry. So excited to be in Seattle for this conference after 2 years in Detroit and be back in the Pacific Northwest. We have a little video that gives a little snapshot into the conference for those who have not attended before.
Roadmap Conference is really all about collaboration and bringing together wildly diverse stakeholders who all have a piece of the puzzle when it comes to electrifying transportation. This transition requires all kinds of new relationships among different stakeholders. Local governments have got to work with utilities, have got to work with car companies, have to work with community groups. And Roadmap is really unique in being the only conference where those folks all come together in one room. So Roadmap is always a great place to learn about what are the cutting edge issues in transportation electrification, what are the challenges that are front and center that need to be tackled now. But more importantly, the magic really happens in the networking and between the sessions when people recognize how other folks in this ecosystem can help them solve their problems. And now more than ever, that kind of collaboration and partnership is really critical to moving this work forward.
Great. All right, now we're going to be moving into speaker essentials. So this is exciting stuff. Before we get into session preparation, just a few important reminders. All speakers need to register using the speaker-specific registration link, and we encourage you to book your hotel as soon as possible. Make sure to use the booking link provided. We will be sending out a post-webinar email that'll have all of this information, including the recordings and the slides and all of these links mentioned. Everything you really need to know about being a speaker roadmap will be included in the speaker toolkit, so make sure to check that out And we'd also love your help promoting Roadmap. Our promo kit includes graphics and sample messaging you can use to share your participation with your network. So please make sure to check all of that out. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Stuart.
Great. And we do have a question about, checking on whether someone has registered or not. Melissa, what's the best way to confirm that you've registered?
Perfect. So the best way to check is you can send me an email and I will make sure that you are registered. And then there is also the info email that you get when you register. Well, you don't have the email. Just email me. I'll help you with anything that you need. And my email will be included, of course, in the follow-up information that we send out. So we got you covered.
Thanks, Melissa. Okay, so diving a little more into the roundtables in particular, these sessions we've been hosting these for at least the last couple years, and they've taken on a few different formats. But something we hear after the end of the conference each year is attendees love chances to engage with other attendees, to really meet each other, to talk about issues in the industry, and they wanted sort of more opportunities to do that. And so these roundtable sessions are getting to the heart of what we do at the conference, and really are a great way to facilitate conversation, learning, as well as a way for our hosts to share more about their expertise and their work and position themselves as leaders in the industry. So each session is 75 minutes and includes tableside conversations structured around an industry theme. And each table can host up to 10 participants. You can expect 6 to 10 per table roughly. And there'll be opportunities for attendees to rotate to a new table 2 or 3 times, depending on how you structure your session. In terms of roles, each session will have a moderator, and the moderator is helping sort of start and end the session, keep time. That's sort of probably the biggest role that they have is, helping the hosts keep time, and if, depending on how many rotations you want, making those announcements. And, we recommend the moderator help schedule a practice call with the table host to decide the run of show, decide sort of how they want to handle the timing, to introduce the topic and the table host at the beginning of the session, and facilitate some closing discussion or reflection at the end. We really leave it up to the moderator and table hosts to decide how they want to run that. But the moderator has the opportunity to be both the opener and closer of the session. In terms of our table hosts, your role is to host an interactive tableside conversation on your proposed topic. So for most of you, that's the topic that you proposed in the call for proposals. If not, Melissa will be reaching out to get your table topic if you did not submit through the call for proposals originally. And then from there, developing discussion materials and prompts, sharing your expertise with the participants, and facilitating a conversation for 6 to 10 attendees. And so this is, again, an opportunity for you to position yourself as a leader in the industry, as well as learning from your peers and seeing sort of what other folks are thinking about and doing on that topic. We on the fourth team, structure the panel or the panel theme and recruit the speakers and moderator. But from there, we leave the actual structure up to the moderator and host to decide exactly how you want to run the session. So again, these are 75 minutes in total. Depending on if there's a session sponsor, there will be kind of a few minutes at the beginning for potentially the sponsor to make an announcement. And then from there, this is a sample run of show, and we've included this in the materials that we've sent you. This is one example, and feel free to modify this as you see fit. But I think this could be an effective model for how you can run your session, which includes a 10-minute moderator introduction, which introduces the session theme, and it briefly introduces each of the table topics and hosts. And the moderator will have a podium microphone in the room that they can sort of make these introductions from, as well as a projector and screen that will have each of the table hosts and topics listed. From there, you can decide how many rounds of table conversations you want, but I think two rounds with 25 minutes each of conversation seems like a good sort of mix of getting into the depth of a topic, but also allowing folks to move around a little bit with a 5-minute break in the middle. I recommend for the break, actually inviting people to get out of their seats, get a drink of water and come back. Sometimes people can be glued to their seats a little bit unless the moderator really asks everyone to get up. And at the end, the moderator or the table host can come up and do a little large group share out, or you can invite attendees to share out as well. So depending on how you want to do that, but some closing reflection, I think, could be really helpful here. Some tips for your roundtable. I know each of us, facilitates conversations in different ways. We each have our different styles and techniques. These are some recommendations that might be helpful in thinking about how you might host your roundtable. First is setting the stage. So introducing yourself and your expertise and your work. Why is this topic meaningful to you? What are some of the learnings and best practices that you've developed along the way? And then inviting participants to introduce themselves as well. So sort of who's at the table and folks can get a sense at who is joining them. We highly recommend you prepare discussion prompts in advance. So developing questions that can help guide the conversation and get, spark dialogue and discussion. Trying to be authentic and approachable throughout the session. So, think about this as talking to your peers in the industry. It's sort of learning from each other. And I think that's where the basis of strong relationships and partnerships take off is thinking about those at your table as peers. And lastly, just wanted to mention that feel free to mix it up a little bit in terms of maybe you're having a hard time getting everyone at the table talking. Is to invite some reflection individually. Or just ask folks to, turn to their neighbor and reflect on something. I know personally as an introvert, sometimes it takes me a little while to warm up to a group conversation. So sometimes having some time to myself or to chat with one person can sort of help warm things up. So I'm ready for a larger group conversation. With that, I will pass it back over to Melissa to talk more about the room setup.
Great. All right, next a quick overview of your room setup and AV. So while each breakout room will have standard AV available, including a screen, projector, Wi-Fi, and an on-site AV tech, Roundtable hosts will not need to use the AV equipment during the session. Moderators will have access to a microphone to provide opening remarks, transitions, and help guide the overall session. Because of the discussion-based format, there's no need for Roundtable hosts to prepare or submit a presentation. We do ask everyone to arrive to their session room at least 15 minutes early so you can get settled, locate your assigned table, and connect with your moderator and fellow hosts and be ready to begin on time. Next slide, please. All right, so next steps. Now that you've been introduced to your session group, your most important next step is to connect with one another. Fourth will not be facilitating individual prep calls, so we highly encourage each group to schedule a 30 to 60-minute planning meeting before the conference. For roundtables, focus on how you'll facilitate the conversation, your key topics, discussion prompts, timing, and ways to encourage attendee participation. Moderators, we encourage you to help guide this planning and share potential closing discussion questions with your speakers in advance. Our goal for every session is to feel collaborative, conversational, and valuable to the roadmap audience. Now, that covers the key information we wanted to share today. The biggest takeaway is to connect with your fellow speakers, moderators, and hosts ahead of the conference and give yourself time to plan. Thank you again for being part of Roadmap 2026. We're excited to welcome you to Seattle in September. With that, we'd be happy to open it up for questions. So please make sure if you have any questions for us today to go ahead and throw those in the chat. Looks like, yes, we will be sharing the slides and everything we covered today in a recap email that will be sent out this afternoon along with this recording. So all of this information will be provided to you shortly.
Melissa, I have a question for you around attire for the conference. Do you have suggested attire for attendees?
Yes, so business attire is recommended. We do encourage attendees to dress professionally while keeping comfort in mind, especially for long conference days. Like sometimes that AC gets a little cold. Okay, let's see what else. Yes, there is a special speaker rate, so make sure to use the speaker link when you register. And like we said in the chat, if you have any questions on registration, whether or not you're registered, I can help you out. And if you somehow registered without the speaker rate, let us know and we can definitely get you a refund. Let's see. If more attendees registered than the room can hold, is there a wait list?
It's first come, first serve. So, as attendees come in, if a table is full, they can move to the next one, or wait as a spot maybe opens up.
All right, Stephanie, yes, I'll make sure to get you connected to your moderator. Thank you for that message.
We do have a question about, does the moderator direct attendees to the roundtables? Just wondering about the process in the room. And I'm happy to answer this one, Melissa.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Imagine, depending on what time your session starts, people will start flowing in, 5 to 10 minutes before the start of the session. And folks will be coming in and out kind of throughout the session. I think attendees like to hop around between the track sessions. So don't be afraid if folks are coming in or out or coming in and kind of just taking a peek, what's this like? Do I really want to take part in this? So we recommend both the moderator and the hosts as being, welcoming, sort of moderator, feel free to make announcements, at the start, like feel free to come in, take a spot, take a look at what tables you want to join, help sort of guide people into the room. And the host as well, kind of helping, facilitate folks, finding a spot in the room.
Hey, Stuart, how many people can each table accommodate?
Yeah, so each table, there's a maximum of 10 seats at the table. So with the host, that would mean sort of 9 attendees could join.
Okay, great. Let's see. How do we know for a moderator versus a host? You have been notified if you are a moderator, and then Samantha, I'll make sure to send you an email afterwards just to confirm your role.
David asked, does it make sense to commit to a set number of rotations? David, I'm not totally sure what you're asking, but feel free to clarify in the chat, or I can talk to you offline as well. I think something we heard from last year was, folks really enjoyed the roundtables, but they tended to stay at one table for the full 75 minutes. And especially the host felt like, that was a long time for one conversation. So this year, we really recommend the moderator making announcements suggesting some rotations. So the number of rotations is up to the moderator and the host to decide. And it can be fluid a little bit based on sort of how conversations are going, whether there's lots of conversation happening or whether you want to introduce another rotation. So yeah, feel free to decide as things go too. But we do recommend some rotations in there.
Okay, let's see. Are we expected to take notes as hosts? You are not expected to take notes as hosts. Just having an engaging conversation is definitely enough. And then if there's any resources you'd like to share, please feel free to do so, but you definitely don't need to take notes or attendance or anything like that.
And feel free to have some informational materials. I think we often have hosts who bring some of their own materials or some QR codes that attendees can scan for more information. I think that's helpful, and again, sort of allows you to share some of your work and expertise.
And Stuart, we have a question from Anna regarding the role for moderators. Should they walk around, pop into tables to participate, or should they select a table and stick with that throughout the breakout?
Yeah, good question. And I think it's kind of up to the moderator how they want to do that. I think sort of walking around, popping in is great. Get a flavor at sort of what's going on. Yeah, but leave it up to the moderator to decide sort of how they want to spend their time during the session. But being sort of ready to make those tiny announcements, I think is the key part along the way.
Okay, great. That looks like it's all of the questions from the chat.
Awesome. Yeah, and if any questions come up along the way, feel free to message us. Questions about your registration. If you're not sure about your role, feel free to email Melissa about that. But yeah, any other questions about the roundtable format, especially for the moderators, I'm happy to answer those questions offline as well if you need further support kind of guiding the session. Great. Well, we are really excited to see you all in Seattle in September. I know I'm always, busy running around, to different sessions, and I know Melissa the same. But if you see us at the conference, feel free to say hi to us, and we'd love to chat with you, see how your session went. But regardless, I hope you have a great session. Looking forward to the conference, and good luck in your preparations.